Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United hosting Crystal Palace for the first time in ages. Can't remember last time we played them. Yep. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Joe Smith. Listen, we've done the Carabao Cup thing, which was good. You know, we're through to the next round. We've got the Geordies, happy days.
Happy days.
Now it's the Premier League. Yeah. This is what matters most, surely.
This is what we do.
Not just getting back to winning ways, because we've already had winning ways, keeping that momentum going.
Yeah, it's massive. The first 6 games of the season were pretty much disastrous, weren't they? We lost 3 or 4 of the first 6 games.
Yeah.
Which is dreadful. We've now won 2 in a row, and it's just that sort of initial trickle of momentum, of a little bit of positivity. For the first time, the tweets, the social media response, the digital sort of media response generally has been, Hannibal's done a bit of running. Didn't Amrabat look all right? Even Maguire looked good. It's nice to see Martial back on the score. Like, it's been positive. Casemiro's back to it. Like, it doesn't take much for the ball to start rolling in the other direction. I still think we're in a negative moment as a club because obviously you can't be losing through the first 7 games, whatever it is. But the snowball is slowing down a little bit and we're starting to get almost as much positive as negative. If we can win the next 2 or 3 games, things start going the other way, and the next thing you know, we're hitting a sort of 7 or 8 game undefeated run, and we can start being genuinely positive about us. And I think that these sorts of games are massive because you don't get a lot of credit for winning them, but you get a lot of, panic, disaster, or sort of hyperbole for losing them. So we've got to win, but I think these are the small steps on the road to actually having a relatively decent season.
No, I agree. Wasn't Initial Trickle of Momentum the name of your student film based on the early years of Jeremy Corbyn's rise to power in the Labour Party?
It wasn't actually based on that. It was based on, I can't even say that, controlling the bladder whilst peeing in public urinals. Because a lot of people have a mental block there. Yeah. So that initial trickle of momentum is where things really take off. Yeah.
I always get them too.
If you're at a theatre or a football match or just in a park and you want to do a wee. Yeah. Momentum is key.
Go and check that out. It's available at all good bookshops. Amrabat, don't want to get carried away with a cameo against Burnley and a performance in the Carabao Cup against a weakened Crystal Palace side. But it's obvious to me United have got one of the best midfielders in world football.
I don't want to say Zidane in the mud.
Yeah.
But this is essentially the greatest midfielder of the 21st century, isn't it? that much is clear.
Yeah.
He looks good, and I like that immediately we've seen. And again, I don't want this to be a hate thing because I like to remain positive. But in football, comparison is such an easy way to sort of establish a scenario. When you look at Amrabat playing a mixture of left back and central midfield against Palace, I think he started left back and sort of came in, didn't he, to the midfield later on. I think he had like 68 passes or more for Manchester United. And you look at the average number of passes of the likes of Scott McTominay, or I'll even use Fred as an example because he was here last season and played a lot of games last season. You're looking at like in the 30s because they just don't get on the ball enough. They don't help you control games. They don't do enough with their time on the pitch. It's not always mistake after mistake after mistake, but they just aren't present enough. Whereas Amrabat immediately comes in, and again, you said a weakened and maybe slightly lacking energy Crystal Palace team, but immediately he is a big part of the game, and that's exactly what we want to see from these sorts of midfielders coming in. Good work rate, but more importantly, 68 passes, whatever it was, 60 plus passes.
I thought it was more than that, but whatever. Yeah,
exactly. It might be more than that.
But no, but either way, I can't remember the exact figures, but you're right. There was a lot. He got on the ball a lot, and his pass success rate was very impressive as well. And also, just that assurance and that confidence that he had. We saw it when he came on against Burnley. I thought this could be horrible. Because obviously Burnley were chasing the equaliser. He's coming into a position which isn't his preferred position. You think this could be one of those where you're looking at it going, already after a 5-minute cameo, people questioning him. But he did well there, and he certainly did well against Crystal Palace. I've been very impressed with Sofiane Amrabat, a player that obviously the manager wanted for a while and wanted to come to United. He held out for a move to Manchester United when a lot of players would have been happy to get the transfer elsewhere from Fiorentina because he's not a kid, he's 26 years old, but stuck it out, got his move to Manchester United, which I think he's been speaking about this week, and so far so good. Long may it continue. And I just wonder with some of these signings as well. Like obviously Amrabat was a player that the manager really wanted. He wanted Rasmus Højlund. If he gets the players in that he wants, we're getting there a little bit. It's just that moving forward, and I think that is hopefully what we can be looking at in the future with the likes of Amrabat, likes of Højlund, likes of one or two other players that he's brought in as well. He's just Erik ten Hag stamping his full authority on this team, because yes, we had a good season last season, and no, we've not had a brilliant start this season, but we've still got issues that he inherited that are ongoing. We've still got players that he inherited that probably aren't at the standard or don't suit the system he wanted to play. Now with Onana, Amrabat, Højlund, it feels more like these are my guys that are coming in rather than the ones I inherited. So hopefully a man like Sofian can keep it going.
It was 78 passes, not 68.
I thought it was a little bit more,
even better.
Sure the exact figure,
But also, to that point that you just made there, that's why it's good to have the odd academy player sprinkled in as well, because one thing you get with Amrabat and Højlund is this willingness and desire to play for Man United, and that's something that typically academy players bring through as well. That, you know, we've seen that from Hannibal, just his work rate, if nothing else.
Yeah.
You know, and if we're getting that across the pitch, then you can supplement that with that real quality of other players. That's how you get a good team coming together.
100%, and United all about the academy. If you look at the United way, which people sort of talk about and is often meaningless, the one trait all United teams have had, and it goes back sort of decades and decades, is that we nurture and use our academy players. We get them in the first team, and you've got players now that are coming through from the academy that are doing very, very well. With all that being said, let's go to our predicted teams. Joe, talk us through your predicted 11.
Yeah, it's a combination of people who impressed me against Palace the other day and people who just inevitably will come back. So Onana, I think, you know, speaks for itself. Then a back four again, still sort of cobbled together a little bit, but I've gone Lindelof at the back. I've gone Varane, Maguire and Dalot. That back two partnership, I'm not sure. I know people thought Johnny Evans played well, and he did, but I think the extra speed and intensity that we'll get from maybe the likes of Eze coming back in, or just Palace generally trying a bit harder, may be enough to kind of catch Evans out. And not that Maguire's particularly quick; he's just a bit more, ready at that pace, I think. Then Dalot at left back, because if Lindelof's at right back, we've got to play Dalot at left back. Then a midfield three, and this is where, you know, different ideas come in about who you want where. So this is the sort of opinion I've gone with. I think Amrabat and Casemiro as a holding two. Casemiro slightly more, you know, hunting the ball, winning the ball back. Amrabat a little bit more of that kind of holding his spot, playing the ball out. And then we've got Mason Mount in front of them. I've gone that way because I don't know if it'll be Mount on the right or Fernandes on the right. I think we may see a bit of rotation there. But I just think that, you know, Bruno is very good on the right-hand side, or certainly can play there. I know Mount can as well, but I just think that that's how it'll go. We've seen him push Fernandes out there before, and Rashford obviously comes back in on the left-hand side, and Højlund up front. I do feel slightly sorry that those front three who played the other day, all three of them are being dropped. But, you know, Garnacho, Pellistri and Martial, they had a decent game. I just think there's that extra quality and that extra, you know, match-winning ability that you get with Fernandes and Rashford, especially they need to play. Yeah,
definitely. I agree with pretty much everything you've said, to the point of we've actually got the same team. The only difference is where I've put Mason Mount and where you've put him. You've put him at the front of a midfield three. I've put him on the right-hand side of an attacking three. Yeah. Like I say, I will mention Hannibal, because I agree with everything you said. The thing with Hannibal is he's 20 years old. Mm-hmm. I do feel like, yes, the kid's full of beans, he's full of energy, and performance-wise, he deserves to keep his place. I just wonder whether you might have to not play him twice a week, every week. You might have to go, okay, here's one where you have to sit out, or let's mix it up a little bit, because we do have options. You know, you could bring in Christian Eriksen, you could bring in Hannibal, and you still have a very good, strong midfield. Mm-hmm. It's good to see us finally looking like we've got a few options here. Certainly in midfield, we have. I know defensively we're still sort of threadbare, hence the reason why we've got what is basically a centre-back playing at right-back and a right-back playing at left-back. If Eriksen goes away, we think he's going to go. But that midfield is looking stronger. The front three, listen, Marcus Rashford was getting a few pelters the other day after Garnacho's performance. Even Andy Tate, who sat where you were saying, said that he thought Marcus Rashford should be dropped. Marcus Rashford doesn't get dropped for this game. I think we need to be realistic, and nor should it.
No. He was rested for this game.
I like Alejandro Garnacho, but Marcus Rashford, who's just scored 17 Premier League goals and 13 all comps, is going to start this game. Even his numbers this season have been decent as well. Yeah. Also, Bruno Fernandes, goes without saying, he comes back into the team, as you've already mentioned. Get involved in the comments. Let us know your predicted 11. The 11 you think Erik ten Hag will pick for the new game against Crystal Palace. We've already had one. This is arguably the more important one in the Premier League. Talking to Crystal Palace, just bang on mid-table, a bit like ourselves, to be fair. Lost to us in the Carabao Cup. They've drawn with Fulham. They've lost to Villa. They've beaten Wolves, and they've beaten Plymouth in the Carabao Cup. They're having a bit of a mixed bag, but they are a decent team, aren't they? Especially under Roy Hodgson. He knows how to get a tune out of these players, doesn't he? They went with a Patrick Vieira era, and I don't blame a team for trying something new and trying a younger manager who's a bit more progressive. Didn't really work for them, did it? No. I think once they lost Conor Gallagher, that all seemed to fall apart for them. Roy Hodgson came in, straight away turned it around. They were scoring goals freely, which is something they struggled to do under Patrick Vieira. This season, a pretty solid-ish start. I think if they were to finish the season in 10th, they'd all be happy. Yep. No disrespect to them. What are your main worries going into this game? Because we do expect to see a stronger Crystal Palace team.
That's my main worry, is the players who played the game on Wednesday, was it? I don't remember what it was. Tuesday. The players who played that game coming into this one and going, oh shit, I didn't expect them to be trying this hard, this quick, this energetic. I didn't expect, they weren't pushing us before. Why are they doing that now? That's my only concern. The likes of maybe Dallo, Casemiro as well, depending on who that centre-back partnership is, maybe Harry Maguire if he's in there. If you think you're going to get the easy ride that you got on Tuesday, you've got another thing coming, because that isn't going to happen. They'll be completely different. I mean, they're not going to play an entirely different system, but the work rate and the energy, and also just the quality, because they've got certain players to come back in, is going to be so different. I just hope we don't go, oh, I can't believe them. Like, do you know when you sort of see them bemused and baffled that the opposition is actually trying to win? Yeah. That would be really frustrating to see, and I'm sure Ten Hag will have told them that, and I'm sure just as intelligent human beings, or even footballing human beings, they know we're going to see a different Crystal Palace. But if the first 20 minutes is us going, oh wow, no one expected Palace to do this. Well, we did. We should have all seen it coming, and United have to counter that.
No, I agree, because listen, we had probably the easiest day at the office we've had at Old Trafford or in football for ages at United. I can't remember a more comfortable game. And yes, everyone played well, so that helps your cause. We got off on the right foot as well, and we were attacking them from the kick-off, finished our chances. Yeah. So United do deserve credit, but let's not pretend we were up against the prime Real Madrid here. Crystal Palace didn't really give us much to worry about, and it is going to be a completely different game this Saturday, so we can't take anything for granted. We've got to be at it, and hopefully we will be. With all that being said then, Joseph, give us your score prediction.
I do think we'll win again, but I think it'll be tighter than the other day. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. I'd like to see Højlund get another goal, but more than that, I think we might see something from Mount. I've just got a feeling that at Old Trafford, he's sort of building back in now. I worry that as well, that he maybe started the season with, I don't know if he had an injury, but he didn't look right, and now he's got something to prove. I think we'll see Højlund and Mount with the goals.
Mount was very good the other day.
It was excellent. That 45 minutes
performance.
Excellent.
Yeah, he deserves credit for that.
What are you saying?
I'm going to go with 3-1. I think Casemiro's going to continue his goal scoring form. He's scored 4 so far, hasn't he? I fancy him to get another one. Which 5 goals at this stage of the season would be amazing for him.
Insane.
So, yeah, I'll go 3-1. I think Palace, with a stronger team, might cause us a few problems. It would be nice for us to get another clean sheet. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we'd beat them without conceding. But get involved in the comments in the chat. Let us know your score. If you want as well, you can film yourself in landscape, 30 seconds, give us your score predictions, send them to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Joe, always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Where can people find you?
On Stretford Paddock, we'll be here for the watch along, so make sure you check that. Actually, I won't be here, but you will.
I was about to say, I'll
be here today. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here, other days. Stretford Paddock, check me out.
Yeah, you know where to find me as well. And like Joe says, I'll be here for the watch along. We'll also be getting all the post-match reaction from everyone. So make sure you are subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on that. That's me, Joe Smith. I'm Jay Moyer. This has been the Palace Preview. Thanks for watching.